Hi, I'm Sonia. I'm a developer. A couple of months ago, I made a super simple Chrome extension that transcribes YouTube videos in LaTeX and Markdown. It was originally a project that I used for self-learning, didn't really think much of it, but it gained over 200 users in less than a week. This was around Christmas time, so I thought that once the holidays are over, I'm going to come back to this extension and see how I can make the most of this newly found success. However, the next time I logged onto the developer's dashboard, I saw that I had lost all of these users as quickly as I had gained them. So today we're going to investigate where all of these people came from, why they don't want to use my extension, and try to fix it. But before that, I want to tell you a little bit more about where this idea came about. So I remember in May of last year, so like 6 months ago, MCP servers started getting really popular, and as a developer, I naturally wanted to learn more about them and see if I could use them in my day-to-day life. And if you're anything like me, you probably learn best by doing. So I wanted to find a kind of side project where I could experiment with MCP servers and see what they're all about. As I was looking for inspiration on GitHub, I found a couple of projects that revolved around YouTube. Basically back then, and it's crazy to say back then about like last year, but back then the Claude desktop app didn't have access to the internet. And so if you wanted it to, let's say, summarize a YouTube video, you would need to connect it to YouTube via an MCP server, and that's what all of these projects were about. This use case seemed interesting and simple enough for me, so I did exactly that. I made a little MCP server that fetches YouTube transcripts and connects it to the Claude desktop app. And of course, as I was doing my research, I was like Googling, watching YouTube videos, and you know how the algorithm is. Soon enough, my feed was full of these videos about people developing their own browser extensions to fetch YouTube transcripts, and so I thought that would be like the next step for my project. So instead of just copying other people's projects, I was motivated to put my own little twist on it. So I started thinking about a specific use case that would be useful for me. I thought back to the time when I was a student because I heavily relied on YouTube tutorials to complete my lectures. The thing is that formulas and mathematical expressions get completely butchered in the transcript. So I was like, okay, let's try to fetch YouTube transcriptions and clean them in a way that would be useful for STEM students. And so I made this cute little extension that basically transcribes YouTube for you in LaTeX or Markdown. Now, back then I had a corporate job, so this was a quick little weekend project, and as soon as I felt that I had learned enough from this project, I just abandoned it and moved to the next thing. Now, I left corporate in October, and that's when I decided to revive this project again because I again had things I wanted to learn and experiment with. I really wanted to solidify my skills when it came to things like setting up user accounts and payments because these are things you don't really want to make mistakes with. It's quite important. I quite liked the idea of having this sort of guinea pig project that I didn't care that much about, that I could make mistakes with and experiment with without it impacting the actual things I want to work on. And so I brought back this extension. I completely changed the UI from this like vibe-coded purple to something more clean and professional. The things that I wanted to practice with this guinea pig project were, as I said, payments, user setup, but I also wanted to publish something and try out social media marketing. You hear a lot of advice about posting on Reddit or going viral on TikTok, and so I wanted to use this to try out these techniques. And yeah, that was also really fun. I am going to talk about this a little bit later in the video because did I embarrass myself on TikTok over this? Yes. And so I set everything up, I published the extension, and once again, I felt like I had learned what I wanted to learn and moved on to my more serious and exciting projects. I did still, of course, keep an eye on this extension, so users were increasing in a pretty linear way. I think I gained about 60 in the span of 2 months, and then in around mid-December, users just spiked. Before we continue, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. It really helps out a lot. I make videos about indie development, so if there's a tool in this video that I briefly gloss over that you want to know more information about, I can make a separate video with a more in-depth tutorial. Also check out my shorts. I recently did an indie dev advent calendar where I detail all of my stack from hosting to payments to GPU to everything in between. And let's get back to fixing this extension. So the first thing I want to do today is restructure how this extension works. To briefly explain how I had set things up back then is, well, first I have my extension, which is the front end, and I have my server. I fetch the transcript in the browser and then send it for processing on the server. This part very obviously makes sense. Now, the part that doesn't make sense is that I'm using Google for authentication. So the user enters their detail and then that also gets sent to my server. And at the same time, I have a users table in Supabase. So I'm just going back and forth between the server, Supabase, and my extension, which is a lot of extra work considering that Supabase offers authentication too. So what I want to do is completely remove authentication from my server and move it to Supabase. And similarly for payment. So in the extension, the user opens the checkout. This is then sent to the server, and then Stripe pops up, and then I have this table in Supabase. It's kind of a mess. And I also want to move from Stripe to Polar because that's a payment provider I'm using for my other projects, and I enjoy the experience a lot more. Basically, I want to make the separation between what I'm doing a lot more clear. So the extension is the front end, the server is going to be used just for processing, and then everything that has to do with users, authentication, and things like that is going to be entirely in Supabase. For my setup, I have my backend and front end here in different colors so I don't get confused. Here I deployed my development server, and then here I'm using this YouTube video to test things out, and here's my extension that I made gray not to confuse it with the real thing. Since I'm on the free plan for Supabase, I can't work on different branches, so I basically just created another users table, and then I'm gonna migrate the existing users to that one once the extension is released. And it showed me that there are still 110 people using this extension, which is crazy. So hopefully the migration goes smoothly and those people won't lose access. All right, so now Supabase authentication is set up. So yep, here we go. I'm logged in. Now, as I said, I want to migrate from Stripe to Polar. The way I had set up payments here is very amateur. So here, when I click on upgrade, I get this pop-up, and then I can type 1 or 2 to be redirected to checkout, which is not very trustworthy. And here we go. This is a lot more professional than what I had going on. So I already started creating a Polar account here. This is of course in the sandbox, and I quite like their onboarding process because you can simply describe what it is that you want to do and it will set up a lot of things automatically. So here they're asking me how much am I going to be selling my browser extension for. So I have the Pro plan for $7.99 and Premium for $19.99. Yes, monthly. And you see it's creating this right away. I also installed the Polar MCP. So this can directly create products for us, set up prices. If you're working with Cloud Code, as I am from VS Code, you don't even have to leave your IDE to set all of this up. So as a developer, this is a much nicer experience than Stripe. Let's actually try to set this up with Cloud Code from the start. I mean, I already have my products configured here. So yeah, let's just ask it to migrate for us. Now, I'm not really a prompt purist. Like, I don't have a method that I use for prompting or talking to AI. Like, when I ask it to do something, I just tell it what to do. But I don't know, I have tried talking to it like, pretend to be a software engineer, or like, you're a senior UX designer. But honestly, it leads to the same results. Like, I don't know if I'm just bad at prompting, but talking to it in natural language versus talking to it as this like structured markdown text does the same thing. So let me know in the comments below if you have any techniques for talking to Cloud Code, or if you're like me and you just go with the flow. So now that all of this boring stuff is out of the way, I want to move on to actually making the extension better. The first thing I need to see is if it actually behaves how it should with longer videos, because prior to this, I only tested it with videos, I think under 30 minutes long. So I want to see how it manages longer transcripts, and if I need to maybe split the transcription into different batches and things like that. So I added the full transcript to the logs just to make sure everything is being sent. And here's the response from the AI. So we can see that it's actually being cut off by the AI part. And the second thing I want to do is add another feature, because for math tutorials, you often need diagrams and things that aren't really said in the transcript. So I want to give users the possibility to add screenshots to the documents they're generating. So the way we're going to do this is, I think I'm going to put another box right here and then have it display tiles of like when there are important diagrams that are shown in the video. So like in this video, for example, we would see that, oh, at 15:34, there's something important happening, and then we would take a screenshot of this video, and this is going to appear in the tiles here. The issue is, like, if you have a video like this, you don't really need to do anything to the image because it's already pretty clear. You can just put this into your notes as it is. Whereas for videos like this one, where it's like an actual recording of a lecture, we will obviously need to clean the image somehow to make it clear. I tried a couple of things with Gemini, like basically give it a messy screenshot and then it returns a diagram like this. I'm a little scared that the AI might make things up, but let's give it a try. I mean, I've already called this the YouTube AI math transcriber, so let's see how far we can get with this. Alright, so it's the next day, and last night I managed to successfully implement the new feature. Basically, I added 2 extra API points. The first one fetches the timestamps in the video where there might be a diagram or a drawing, and the second API point to basically enhance the screenshots. So now all that I have left to do is clean up the listing page a little bit. I think I'm going to add 2 extra slides to demonstrate the new features. And as promised, lastly, I want to talk about promotion in marketing and some of the experiments that I tried out while trying to promote this. So if you go to my analytics page, you can see that I tried many different methods. The first thing that I tried was Reddit, because every time I go online and I try to look up, effective methods on how to promote your products, Reddit always comes up. In my experiment, I of course tried out like the classic things like r/Chrome extensions because they actually allow self-promotion. But I also tried infiltrating other communities, and a lot of the time, of course, I wasn't super successful and got banned, but they did get quite a lot of views. I think the one with the most views was from r/LaTeX. But overall, with all of this posting, it looks like I only got 3 users, so I was either bad at it or maybe it's not really worth it. However, as you can see here, the thing that brought me the most users was TikTok. I actually made a TikTok account for this extension. My strategy was basically post a video that I think is gonna go viral, and then in between those potentially viral videos, post promotion of the extension. And honestly, I think we can say that I was quite successful because one of my potentially viral videos got 1 million views. Now, the reason I say that this is kind of embarrassing is because I think I'm making content that is not really for me. So I was pretending to be a high school or college student while making this. So the thing that went viral is this like quick montage that says they hate it because they don't understand it, which I think kind of targets pretentious and snobby high schoolers who are good at math. And for the videos that were actually promotional, I basically just tried using trendy audios. Yeah, for example, like this one, as you can see, I'm not trying to be professional or anything. This is just a video of my screen. And yeah, people in the comments are asking me what it is. I also tried using like TikTok wording like POV, exam is tomorrow. But yeah, as you can see, most of them got over 1,000 views, which I think is good enough. So I'm gonna continue posting this, maybe showcase the new feature in pretty much the same way. The good thing about these videos is that they were super easy to make. So I'm definitely gonna continue using this account more and more, considering that now after a couple of videos, I already have over 1,000 followers, which is more than I have on like my actual TikTok account that I'm putting out good content for. I also tried out Product Hunt, which was not bad. So I got to number 22 on the daily rank, but I'm not sure that this was really the right target audience. I've heard that things that do well on Product Hunt are usually tools that are useful to other builders. So things that have something to do with sales or software engineering. And this is kind of more targeted towards students, so not really my target audience. But overall, I want to say that I'm really glad that I had this side project that I didn't really care about, that I could experiment all of these things with, because honestly, I would be kind of scared to post on TikTok and Reddit for things I actually care about because I don't want to have a flop reputation. But now that I've tried it out, it's easier than I thought it would be. So for my actual more serious projects, I'm definitely gonna try this out as well. So let me know in the comments below if you've ever developed anything, an app, a website, a digital product that you tried to promote. What were your learnings and what advice would you give to builders who are just trying out? Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.